Hey guys, welcome back to episode 4 of the Gasp podcast. I'm Richie.
And I'm Zach.
And welcome back. So before we get into this video, you guys probably noticed that we're in a new location, and I chose to switch it up a little bit because we were filming in my living room and there's hardwood flooring in there and just not a lot of furniture, so I feel like the audio is not the best in that room, plus it's not very interesting. So I thought, why not come up to my bedroom where I actually have things on the wall and, more to look at. And Zach likes it, I like it, so I think this might become our new filming location. What do you guys think about it?
I really like all the signs.
Thank you. Yeah. I have accumulated all of these signs over the last few years because I wanted to style this room after like historic Route 66 and that whole Southwest aesthetic of like old muscle cars and gas stations and corner stores on the highway and just the old Southwest, old American aesthetic. I like that. So,
And that's Route 66 is what they used to use before the highways.
yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that was the main highway to get out here. I believe it starts in Illinois and it ends in California somewhere. Mm-hmm. But
I think around like Santa Monica.
Yeah, that would be cool. Actually, yeah, I think, isn't the Santa Monica Pier the end of it?
I think so.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I could be wrong on that. Let us know in the comments, but I think that is true, that the Santa Monica Pier is the end of Route 66. I also know that you can see portions of it on your way out here from the East Coast, because I did. Now, it doesn't look like a road. It looks like kind of a gravel path with vegetation growing over it, but it's still cool to see because it's so historic, So the candle of the day is Coastal Vibes, and I chose this candle because it's a lot different than what I've been lighting in the previous episodes. This candle has notes of sage and sea salt, and it makes me feel like I'm back in the Outer Banks of North Carolina, because there's notes of something that reminds me of a driftwood, and the only time I ever smelled that was when I was in Outer Banks, because there's just so much driftwood that washes up on the beaches out there, and some of it is really beautiful. So let me go ahead and light this, and we'll get right into this video. So let's go ahead and move to our prolapses of the week, and I'll start. Last weekend, I had to make a police report on my next door neighbor, and I never thought I would have to do this when I moved here. I just thought that moving here would be more aligned with my lifestyle, and I would be more happy up here because I wasn't in an apartment. Despite the fact that it's a duplex that I live in and I share a wall with my next door neighbor, I didn't think that it would come to this. And I've been kind of overwhelmed with the situation, but I'm taking action so that this situation doesn't control me. So let me tell you guys what happened, and I'm going to reference my notes so I don't forget anything. I had to make the police report at 3:24 a.m. last Sunday morning. So this was Saturday night, but technically Sunday morning at 3:24 a.m. This particular neighbor has been extremely disruptive and disrespectful to the community from the moment I moved in here, and I've hit my boiling point this past weekend. I only met him once, a few months back, when his dog nearly ate my DoorDash order. I literally ordered Chick-fil-A and I opened my door to get my order, and this golden retriever had the bag in his mouth, and he was just freely running around the complex. Now it's gated, but still I feel like you should have control of your dog and not allow it to just roam free, where it could get hit by a car or stolen. I mean, who knows what could happen? Or in a dog fight, who knows? So I went over and I asked him if this was his dog. He came out and he was like, "Oh, there he is, there he is." And he was just, didn't even apologize or anything. He was just kind of like, all right, I was like, yeah, he almost ate my food. So
I would be livid.
I'm not the most confrontational person, so I don't like to be just outwardly aggressive to people. I tend to take the high road most times, but that situation definitely left a bad taste in my mouth, and I got just a bad vibe from him. Last Saturday, he decided to throw a rager with 20 to 30 people here, starting at 2 a.m. I was awoken out of my sleep to extremely loud thumping music. It felt like I was in a circuit party or in some kind of nightclub. I was just immediately jolted up. I was like, what's going on? What's going on? And this music was louder than I've ever heard it before. I have recordings of it. it was bad. And 35 to 45 minutes went by, and finally it got worse and worse, and people kept getting dropped off here and being extremely loud, and people were actually blocking my garage, so I couldn't even leave if I wanted to. And they were all like college kids, and I just felt like it wasn't the best idea for me to go and approach a situation like that where there are intoxicated people and egos and all of that. So I just thought, let me call the police, make a report, and hopefully that will solve the issue. Now, mind you, this party started at 2 a.m. I was wide awake. I could not fall back asleep. Every room in my home was rattling. Pictures on the wall. This room is actually the furthest room from his side of the duplex, and I was just frozen in anger and I felt so trapped. And I pay a lot of money to live here, and that was not something in the cards that I was expecting when I signed the lease to move in here. But like I said, this has been an ongoing issue since May of 2023, since I first moved in here. And up until last weekend, I was able to kind of distract myself and overlook the extremely loud music and the people showing up at his house at all hours of the night. I also think he's a dealer of some sort. Actually, I don't think, I almost know that he is, because I'm not stupid. So I don't think the police ever showed up, because the party lasted from 2 a.m. to 7 a.m. At that point, I had bags under my eyes. I was unable to go to sleep. I felt wired. I didn't have an appetite. I was so overwhelmed. His guests were violating city noise ordinances for the city of Phoenix, as well as vomiting on my front porch, blocking my garage with their cars, ringing my doorbell at 4:47 in the morning for whatever reason, and just being extremely disruptive to the community. And people pay good money to live here, expecting that we don't have to deal with issues like this. But one of the things I didn't take into account when I moved into here is how close it is to the ASU main campus in Tempe. It's about 15 minutes, but for whatever reason, I didn't even think that there would be college parties being thrown here. I just thought, oh, this is a safe central location, and this will be great for my lifestyle. So I don't want to ramble on too much, but I ended up speaking to a neighbor across the street who expressed the same concerns as me. And this guy has a wife and 3 kids that live with him. And I noticed that he left that morning at 4 a.m. So I approached him and I asked him if he heard all the commotion. He's like, yeah, we had to leave and go get a hotel because my wife was woken up by that. He actually said that I can sleep through a tsunami, but my kids were awoken and so was my wife, and we had to get out of here. And he also mentioned that he noticed police activity at this guy's house in the past. I didn't even know that. It kind of circles back to the fact that I believe he's a dealer. It's not a prolapse and like a detrimental thing in my life and something I'm just so sad over, because I've learned that I don't belong up here. And I learned that I made the wrong decision moving up here because I thought it would be better for me, but instead it was the complete opposite. And I was telling Zach, I've always been stubborn. Guys, I'm a Taurus, and the bull represents the Taurus, and I've always had to do things my own way and figure it out my own way rather than listening to warnings from other people. So that's just kind of the karma I'm living in right now, but it could be worse, right? So when my lease ends, I will be moving out of Phoenix and back into a more rural area, because that's where I'm most comfortable and that's where I thrive. So Zach, why don't you tell us about your prolapse of the week?
So my prolapse of the week was some sad news that I did receive towards the beginning of the week. I actually found out that I wouldn't say it was like a really close friend, but it was someone that used to be in the group I hung out with a lot, actually passed away. And they were quite young, and it just came as a shock to all of us. It just makes you realize how short life is and how anything could basically happen to anyone, and you just have to hold you have to hold your loved ones close to you because they could be gone within a second. So I was just gonna say, yeah, that was definitely a sad thing. It just made me question my own my own morality as well. It just makes you wonder, how can I ensure that all my friends around me are okay? And what can I do to be a better friend and check in on everyone in my life?
Yeah, and you never know when your time is up. That's the great mystery of life, right?
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, but there's one thing that we can depend on in life. It's that time.
Absolutely.
Everything else is up in the air. But that's the one thing we can depend on happening one day.
One day.
So let's go ahead and move forward to our climaxes. I hope we didn't get too dark there for you guys, but please feel free to comment any advice you might have for the both of us. So I'll go ahead and lighten up the energy a little bit, cut the tension a little bit. And I actually bought my first pair of bootcut jeans in Arizona. These aren't my first pair, but they're my first pair in Arizona.
Ooh, slay. Slay.
Thank you, Boo. And you guys are probably like, okay, jeans, cool. But I got a pair of cowboy boots for Christmas, and I've been wanting to wear them. And all of my jeans are more slim fit, and they just look really funky with the jeans like stretched over the cowboy boots. And I can finally wear them with these jeans and feel like my true authentic self, or the person that I see myself as. So I think my little lesson out of this is, do what makes you guys feel confident. Don't worry about what other people have to say or what they might say. Do what makes you smile at yourself in the mirror, because it pays off in so many ways in life. And, you know, something about a new pair of jeans just makes my heart happy. So that was my climax of the week. What was yours?
So recently, this week, I've actually celebrated 1 month going without alcohol or caffeine.
Wow.
Not that I ever had a problem with either. Honestly, I think the caffeine part was harder than the alcohol. It wasn't like I had an issue or anything. I've just seen a lot of people do the dry January, where they quit alcohol. Sometimes they quit caffeine as well. So I just want to try it. I felt really good. My skin's been clearing up. I've had a lot more energy. Now that I'm not like reliant on caffeine, I never really enjoyed drinking so much. So that was something where it was like, all right, I can go without that. I go out all the time and I'll just order like a club soda with lime at the bar and I'm good for the night. But by golly, I still get those reminders from Starbucks reminding me how many stars I have, and it's like the temptation is there.
That's how they get you.
That's the temptation is there. But I've actually decided for the remainder of this time, I'm gonna keep on abstaining from alcohol, and we'll try to do the same thing with coffee. I think I'm gonna be breaking that soon, but
Yeah, I mean, a little coffee doesn't hurt nobody.
yeah.
But I've noticed a lot of people, especially in our age groups, in our 20s, are abstaining from alcohol or not drinking as much as past generations have. And I think that's great, because I'm not against drinking whatsoever.
Me
I've
neither.
never had an issue with it, but I just get horrible hangovers, and it's gotten worse as I've gotten older. Even if I just go out and have like a glass of wine with dinner, if I'm with Zach or something, I will feel that the entire next day.
Same here.
And also dealing with the situation with my neighbor and the drinking and the messiness and just all of that, it just reminds me of what really matters in life and how much I don't care about partying. Now let's go ahead and move forward to the gay news topics of the week. So I'll start us out. This one stood out to me a little bit because I have a controversial standpoint, or maybe some of you may think that my standpoint is controversial, but I want to know what you guys think from this situation. So, 2 gay leather bars in Seattle were issued lewd conduct violations that owners say were based on patrons' clothing choices. Various nightclub owners said in a statement that they believed the citations were based solely on individuals being shirtless and or wearing a jockstrap. I do have to say that the source that I got this from was extremely biased, so I tried to change the wording around and the narrative that they were trying to push through this to explain this in an unbiased way. Allegedly, 4 of the 15 establishments that were inspected by Seattle's Joint Enforcement Team were gay clubs. So 4 out of 15. The rest were not affiliated with the LGBTQ community. A spokesperson for the Liquor Control Board said the neighboring businesses in the area were notified of lewd conduct violations and that inspectors would be following up with them. So they didn't just pop up unexpectedly. But the wording that was used in this article was gay clubs raided in Seattle, unconstitutional this and targeted LGBT and
Like they're making it like Stonewall.
Exactly. And it's not at all like that. But let me keep moving. So in a statement made by various nightclub owners, they said, quote, "We are flabbergasted that these draconian enforcement practices are happening again 30 years later." Now I want to ask you guys, do you think it's acceptable to wear a jockstrap in a public place? I have a lot of jock straps, and I know how revealing they can be and are, and you're really not covering anything when you're doing the absolute bare minimum when you're wearing a jock strap. So let me know. I'm curious. Now we're going to go ahead and move on to Zach for his news of the week.
Recently, there's been some controversy with the Royal Caribbean Atlantis cruise. Now, for most of you that don't know what the Atlantis cruise for Royal Caribbean is, it's a gay-themed cruise that they throw every year on one of their ships, Oasis of the Seas. So recently there was a death on board, and I was reading up on the article about, this incident that happened, and it was the details of it were very lackluster. So first off, the article states that the death occurred between January 21st to January 28th. There's no exact time pinpointed, so they don't know when this person died. And an official actually said, "I can confirm that we had a death on board and that it was unexpected and not suspicious." Which is strange because it's like the death is not labeled as suspicious, yet no one knows the time of death of this person. No one knows the cause of death. I had a friend that was actually on this cruise, and everyone was really concerned. Everyone was like, someone died, like, what's going on? I would be concerned on a ship in the middle of the ocean, someone dies, you want to know what happened. Mm-hmm. And they were just, no one was talking about it. So
I think they tend to keep things like that on the down low.
Under wraps.
Especially when you're in a situation like a boat in the middle of the ocean where people might start freaking out mm-hmm. or acting out in some crazy way. So maybe that was the company's way of protecting themselves.
I've been invited to that cruise a couple times before. It just never really piqued my interest. I like cruises. I've been on a couple. It's just the type of cruise I wouldn't want to go on, and it's for reasons like that. I know what goes on with these cruises. I know the activities that happen. If that's your cup of tea, that's your cup of tea. It's not my cup of tea, and personally, you won't ever see me going on the Atlantis cruise at all.
I hate to use the circuit party reference again, but mm-hmm. I saw some pictures and videos from a recent gay cruise. I think it's the same one he's talking about, who mm-hmm. a mutual friend of mine went on, and it basically looked like a giant circuit party.
It essentially is.
That you can't even escape from. And most of the people I saw in the video were wearing earplugs, and I'm guessing that's because the noise was just so loud that you almost needed them, because on a boat there's speakers everywhere. I mean, everything's connected, so everything's probably constantly vibrating mm-hmm. with music, and trust me, I know how that feels living here. So I just think if I were to ever go on a cruise, I would probably start out with a normal cruise, an ungay cruise, just to kind of warm myself up a little bit. But I don't know how I would feel being on a cruise with only gay men running around in harnesses and jock straps and bare butts touching surfaces, and I don't know how I feel about that.
we can just go to Seattle for that.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, let's go ahead and move forward to our movie suggestions of the week. So I'll start us out, and this is a movie that my mom suggested to me, and it's actually one of the first movies I've watched in a while. I think the first movie I've watched this year, fully through. It's hard for me to stay interested and invested in movies nowadays because a lot of them just seem so predictable and corny and jokes that don't land, all of that. But this movie, which is called Queen Pins, is nothing like that. It is such a hilarious movie. It's unpredictable, and there's something in there for everyone. Anybody of any demographic will enjoy that movie. So definitely check out Queen Pins. It stars Kristen Bell and Kirby Howell-Baptiste, who I believe is a newer actress, but she was hilarious alongside Kristen Bell. Bebe Rexha is also in it, along with Vince Vaughn and some other notable actors. The movie's based off of a real-life story that took place here in Arizona years ago, where 3 women earned millions by selling fraudulent coupons. So it was like a coupon ring. Can you believe that? And do you guys remember watching like Extreme Couponers growing up and all of that? I thought at the beginning of the movie it was going to have something to do with that, but no, it doesn't at all. I'm not going to go in depth, but you guys should definitely check it out. It's called Queen Pins, and I could not stop laughing. So that's my movie suggestion. So check it out.
That actually sounds interesting. I want to watch it now.
Yeah.
Where could I find it?
Oh, yes, it is on Netflix, you guys, and I think it's
Ooh.
on other streaming platforms as well, but that's where I watched it.
I'm watching that when I get home tonight.
You should.
Yeah. So for my movie of the week, this is a very, very obscure film. You guys know me. I like the very old, obscure films that no one's heard about. I just wanted to give this film some exposure because it really piqued my interest a lot. This film is called Pink Narcissus. It's an art house film, and it came out in 1971. It was directed by James Bygood. He was a gay filmmaker who was a little bit more prominent in the 60s and 70s. More like Andy Warhol, like underground, that sort of era.
Okay.
Like Andy Warhol would have liked to film like this. This film actually took 7 years to film. He filmed it from 1963 to 1970 in a small Manhattan apartment.
Wow.
Used the same guy as the central character all those years. And a lot of the other various cast members, they're very obscure too. There's not really like a set cast list or credit list because these were just random people that he was finding at like these bars and on the street. Mm-hmm. Just saying, hey, do you want to be in my movie? So this movie centers around a man that is in his apartment, and he has a lot of various gentlemen callers, and he gets visited by quite a few of them throughout the night.
Gentlemen callers.
Gentlemen callers.
I like
That's
that.
what we're going to say. Very, very old school way of saying it. So
I could use some gentlemen callers.
Oh, I can too, honey. I can too. Good for him for getting them. So, he basically has a very bleak life. He lives in this little dingy apartment, and all he has to look forward to is these men just coming and visiting him throughout the day. And he imagines every encounter with these men as a different scenario. So he imagines one man as a bullfighter. He imagines the other man as a sea captain, I believe. And then
a seaman?
That is a really good pun. I can see why they chose that. I think James Bygood was onto something. And then there was another segment where he's outside rolling around in this like greenery. He's out of his bleak apartment in this lush green, beautiful field filled with all these flowers, and it's very beautiful. He's essentially making love to the earth.
Wow.
I thought it was a really pretty film. I shouldn't say pretty. It was a very obscure film. I really liked the general aesthetic behind it. I liked the sets. The actor, I think he went by Bobby Kendall. Very obscure. The main actor, and it's really good looking too. It's like, if he's still alive, I want his number. I'm like ready to look this man up. Be like, hey.
He might be.
Well, he doesn't know what's coming to him.
You gotta shoot your shot.
But yeah, it was I really liked the film a lot. It's very hard to find. It's not something that you can just stream off of like YouTube or anything. They have clips of it on YouTube, but to find the whole thing, I had to go to, let's just say I had to go to great lengths to find it.
Well, cool. That does sound like a pretty interesting movie. I would be willing to watch that. All right. Well, I think that just about wraps up episode 4 of the Gasp podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm much more comfortable in this room. What do you think about it?
I like it a lot more. It just seems more at home.
Yeah.
More close, more warm.
More cozy. Anyway, I love you.
I love you too, babe.
We had to reschedule filming a couple times because of some issues that I've been experiencing living here. But guys, if I could so kindly ask you to send me some good vibes, I could really use it. And I'll send them right back to you, I promise. Let's all send everybody good vibes right now because...
Say, don't forget about me.
Yes, and Zach too. I think the whole world could use good vibes. So let's just try this week to make someone smile. I think that would be a great goal for all of us to work towards this week. So other than that, guys, thanks again for tuning in to episode 4, and we hope to see you in the next one. Bye, guys.
Bye.